in the Government of National Unity have met on Friday to iron out their differences. In recent weeks, both the ANC and the DA have been at loggerheads over various issues, including the fiscal framework. Joining us now is Karabo Khakhau, DA National Spokesperson. Karabo, good to have you once again this afternoon. Thanks for coming on. Now, of course, both the ANC and the Democratic Alliance, following that meeting, have issued statement that it was constructive in keeping, of course, with their commitment to meeting regularly, and there will be more such meetings happening in the future. What does that mean? Did you manage to settle your differences?
Dumela Tatemdluli, thank you so much for having me, and greetings to your viewers. The statements are both consistent with each other. The engagements were productive in the sense that we agreed that because the NEC and FedEx haven't taken a decision contrary to the current establishment or the configuration of the GNU, that is the bottom line that we have, that the relationship stays as is, and that we'll have regular meetings moving forward on how the relationship is supposed to work out. The bottom line here, however, as far as the Democratic Alliance is concerned, is that VAT has never been an option, and it never will be. That even though Minister Godongwana has issued a declaration that he wishes to reverse his initial announcement and Parliament's ratification thereof of a VAT increase, that we're going to fight on it, right? So that's why we have now, because the settlement hasn't yet been reached, that's why we today have submitted supplementary documents to make sure that that is curbed. And the reason why the supplementary documents are necessary is this. So Section 7.4 of the VAT Act gives the minister the power to himself, without the corroboration or the stamp of Parliament, to declare either a VAT increase or a VAT decrease. And then, which is obviously outside of the scope of what the Constitution delegates the power to rest in, which the Constitution has made it clear that this is the legislative arm of state on a national level, which is Parliament's responsibility to do so. But the reason why it was important for us to file the supplementary documents to the initial interdict that we made is because even though the minister has indicated yesterday, that he wishes to withdraw, the fact that the first announcement had Parliament's backing and support in it, which means that it is then final. So it is important for us to then, because the next time Parliament is going to then vote in favor or against what the minister has now declared falls outside of the 1st of May, which is after the 1st of May, it is important for then the courts to rule to say that there must be an interdict there, because Parliament wouldn't have met there. So the confusion here that South Africans need to understand is this. So had Parliament not voted, then the minister's order, as far as Section 7.4 of the VAT Act is concerned, would have moved forward. But because Parliament has voted, it is important that there is a middleman in between to stop. But now, with the minister's announcement, he announced alone, and Parliament has it voted in favor, and Parliament's sittings on the voting in favor or against of the retraction of the minister, because it only happens after the 1st of May, it is important for the DA to have filed additional court papers to say, come next week, Thursday, we shouldn't have that. So the court must continue to have an order and declaration thereof that the VAT is legally not permissible in South Africa.
Yeah. So, I mean, the statements might be in alignment with one another as far as the meeting on Friday is concerned. But of course, just before that, we saw the ANC being flanked by other small parties, and they came out with a statement then that says this was a victory for all parties who worked with the ANC on this particular occasion.
That is a lie. So I've maintained that small parties such as Action SA, such as the IFP, and such as the Patriotic Alliance, and serve no other purpose within the Government of National Unity or in Parliament than to be backup singers of the ANC. And the reason why I say so is this. So the only reason why we have a VAT retraction by Minister Godongwana is because his legal team made it clear to him that there is no way under the sun that he was going to win the court case that the Democratic Alliance put forward, that they the EFF then supplemented. So the advice legally that was given to Treasury and Minister Kodongwana was that he needs to seek an out-of-court settlement. And it is only upon that realization that Minister Kodongwana then withdrew the announcement. It is an absolute lie for the PAC, for the Good Party, for the IFP, for Action SA, and anybody else that has rubber-stamped ANC policies and decisions in the form of VAT, for them to claim the decision. They voted in favor of a fiscal framework that had VAT in it. If they were 100% vehemently opposed to a VAT increase like the Democratic Alliance were, they wouldn't have voted against it. So there's no backdoor ruling that they had that would have concluded to a reversal by the ANC that deploys that deploys Minister Kodongwana that introduced a VAT increase that would have resulted to the win that we have right now. Particularly because you would have observed in the press briefing that they had, they didn't come back with an alternative to say, okay, this is the shortfall that we have observed if we're not going to VAT South Africans, and these are the solutions that were put on the table, and this is the agreement amongst the political parties that are now trying to play catch-ups with the Republic of South Africa, that they have agreed on that money will then fit the bill of the VAT. So they're lying. And the reason why they're lying
is the statement of the ANC that says, thanks to their progressive leadership and the other parties, in a principle agreement was reached to explore alternative funding mechanism as a result of National Treasury having withdrawn the proposed VAT increase that was scheduled to be implemented on May the 1st. You're saying there are no alternatives that they are pursuing at this point in time?
That is a lie. If there was an alternative money. So if they said billing Karabo 15.5% today will result in 2 rand, and from Karabo's 2 rand we have gotten money from Utabo or from Prasa, and that 2 rand fits the bill, then we would have a different conversation. But they haven't done that because there is no such thing. What the ANC that deploys Kodongwana, that has been steadfast to say that he doesn't see where else the money is going to come from, together with his treasury, and that filed legal documents last week Thursday that gave mandate for his legal team to argue just this Tuesday that VAT would continue. What the ANC is saying that they are the saviors of the day is a lie. What what the ANC has done here is to fool and trap Action SA, IFP, Bosa, all of them into an illusion that they gave Minister Kodongwana a mandate that seeks to withdraw. Because the bottom line is here, Ndate Mdluli. If the ANC didn't want to see a VAT increase altogether, and they were interested in negotiating with all the other political parties to not see that increase, because they have the deployee power to Minister Kodongwana, they could have told him that from the onset. But instead, the Democratic Alliance has had to fight the ANC and has had to fight Minister Kodongwana to convince them that it is not necessary to vet South Africans, particularly because we've reiterated that the problem here with the fiscal framework is not that South Africa doesn't have revenue, but it is that South Africa has an expenditure problem. That what needs to happen is that the state needs to find money to reprioritized wasteful expenditure, such as the paying of ghost employees across government entities, across departments, across municipalities, such as the cutting of the traveling and catering budget of government, such as the cutting of non-essential programs and events, such as the cutting of the government advertising budget, given that we live in the 4th Industrial Revolution era. So they can't come and lie to the Republic. The Republic knows the truth, and the truth is that South Africans made it clear that they don't want VAT. The Democratic Alliance heard them clearly and became vanguards of that. And we've never been loyal to anybody but the Republic of South Africa.